The unsinkable Connor Brown is actually on a boat right now, so he is not joining us today, but I am so excited to have Tanya Smith here with me. I was able to hang out with her at Podcast Movement. Last month. It's flown by, but and I didn't get to talk to her. I got to interview her for a panel. Of course, there are these other goofballs there, Dave Jackson and Lou Mangello, and so I didn't get to talk as much as I wanted to with Tanya. So I'm so glad that she's here. So how are you doing? I know it's been a week, but I'm so glad to see you.
I'm good because I'm here with you.
Well, you may change your mind at the end of this. We'll see. We've already got some of our friends showing up. We've got Ralph from Grit and Growth Business saying, I am glad to be here, friends. Ralph, I am so excited to have you here as well. And why are comments? I got the spinning ball of death. There it is. Oh, here we go. It's going to be one of those days. And then our friend Dustin waving hi as he passes through, probably getting ready to update Magi with a new AI API he's always on top of it. So Dustin, thank you for being here. But we're going to be talking about live streaming today. And you've heard me talk about it before, where I really think that with all the rise of AI, which I'm stoked with AI. I love it. I think it's very, very cool. But I think it's going to drive us to more community-based things. And live streaming, to me, is a great way to do that. And Tanya is a master. And so we're going to have so much fun with that. So ask your questions as we're going along today. If you're like, I've thought about live streaming and using it for my business, but I'm not sure how to do that, ask your questions. There are no stupid questions here. And we'll bring them up as we get to them. So would love for your questions. I'm going to hit go on the podcast machine, and we will get started. Hello, folks. Welcome to Creator News Live. I'm Jeff C., and you're not. And this is the show that keeps you up to date on what's happening in the creator economy and so much more. Have you ever wondered what it really takes to turn a simple live stream into a steady source of leads and clients? Maybe you're curious on how live video can cut through the noise when AI-generated content is everywhere. Or maybe you're ready to build an audience that you truly own, no matter which platform you stream on. If those questions resonate with you, well, you're going to love today's episode. Our guest, Tanya Smith, is a video strategist and business coach who helps service-based entrepreneurs move from silence to sales through her Stream Like a Boss framework. Tanya will share her journey, her systems, and the proven methods she uses to make live streaming simple, sustainable, and profitable. So sit back, clear your schedule, clear your mind, and get ready for this week's episode of Creator News Live. Tanya, how are you doing today?
I am doing great and excited to be here with you, Jeff, as always.
Oh, this has been too long in the making. We've had you on before, but it's been a while, so I'm so excited to dive in. We have been doing something really fun with our guests. I talked about it a little bit last week at 𝐬𝐃𝐄's conference, not conference, but their little training that I did most of the week. I've been making these little audio introductions for people, and I have one for you. So I'm going to go ahead and show you that, and here we go.
It's Tanya Smith Live, helping your live streams truly thrive. Turn those crickets into clients with drive. It's Tanya Smith Live.
There you go, your very own opening jingle. So usually I have a little bit more animation, but like with everything that happened last week, I didn't get to put together a whole package, but you get the idea. So if you're wondering how I did that, you can always go back and watch the training that I did for the workshop. You can go to jeffc.com/workshop. It's still up there for a couple more days, I believe, with my pals over at 𝐬𝐃𝐄. And by the way, they're the ones who sponsor the show. You can find out more about them at 𝐬𝐃𝐄.com/Jeff, and you can save 15% on your first purchase by using the code Jeff15. But enough about me. Crickets to cash. Tanya, this is going to be I love that. I think you said it on like Dealcasters or somebody's show. I just thought that was very, very clever, the crickets to cash. I showed that animation to my wife, and she really thought that was pretty fun. So
it was cute, yes.
Yeah, so very, very cool. I do want to ask our audience, as we get into this first section about live streaming for leads, is for you guys watching right now, like, what benefit have you seen from doing live streams yourself, or just watching them, participating in them? So if you haven't gone live yet, like, what's the biggest thing holding you back? Like, I know Ralph is getting ready to do his own live show, but for some of you who are thinking, I don't know, what's stopping you from doing your own live show? I'd love to know. let us know in the comments as we get going on this section. So Tanya, I wanted to know, like, in your early live streams, you mentioned sometimes that no one would show up because it was crickets, right? Like nobody was there. But now you help people go from like crickets to cash. So what mindset or strategies kind of help push you through those early kind of silent streams that you were on to like turn a tiny live audience into real leads and clients over time?
Gosh, it was really a journey. One of the things that I think was a big deal for me is to get over the fact that first of all, it wasn't about me. Okay? Because when I made it about me, then it was easy to not show up. When I made it about, oh my goodness, I don't look right, or, something's wrong with me, then I didn't show up. What I realized is that I would go live, Jeff, and I would get ready to delete the stream.
Yeah.
And then someone would send a note and say, wait, hey, I'm getting ready to watch the replay. Or I watched the replay because, I'd look at my numbers 24 hours, 48 hours, a couple of days down. And I would see that people were watching the replay and people were reaching out when I didn't show up, because there were times I just said, I'm not going to do it. I'm not feeling it. And when I recognized that they were saying things like, the one thing you said gave me a great idea, or the one thing you said helped to support me to get through this moment. The one thing you said helped me to show up on my own camera. I realized, okay, it's not really about me at all. It's about, even if I can make an impact to one person or for one person, I need to keep showing up. So consistency and getting past the whole me is what I think in the early days kept me going.
You mentioned something that I want you to kind of speak on a little bit, is you talked about the replay players, the viewers afterwards, after you've gone live. Can you talk about how important that is, and even like putting your show together for that? Because a lot of people, I remember when I first started too, there would be like nobody there. Like, I would actually, I would have my friends come in and be like plants, like a magician has, like the thing. But the replay, I was like, oh, people are watching the replay. Like it wasn't convenient for them to watch live. Can you talk a little bit about that and the importance of going live that way?
Yeah, because especially early on, you're not going to understand what the rhythm is for yourself. You don't know when people are actually showing up, when they're not showing up. Like you're not going to have the timing of your niche necessarily. Sometimes you will. I don't know. There may be people who have done the deep dives and studies and researched, right? But at the time, I just was experimenting. And so I do want to give that tip and say a lot of it is one big experiment. So I think that from a replay standpoint, what you're going to want to watch for is whatever time frame you pick, you're going to want to watch and see who is showing up live, at what time of the, in the stream are they showing up? Are you seeing a replay rhythm? Are you seeing that there's a specific block of time that people are showing up for the replay? But don't get too caught up in this idea of the best time. I know we love the numbers. I get it. But we also have a life. So,
right.
And I'm in that moment right now, Jeff, where life to me is way more important than some of the other things. But pay attention to the timing. And if there's a particular time block, maybe you switch it up a little bit and see, okay, maybe more people are showing up at 6. Because originally I was going live in the mornings. I was going live at like 6 or 7 a.m. And then I realized more people were showing up for the replay around 6 or 7 p.m.
Oh, okay.
And actually that was doable. And I found this perfect marriage between when they were showing up and when I knew I had energy to put on a show.
And I think too, the consistency, it's like I've even had guests saying like, hey, I can't do it on Fridays. I'm like, well, that's when we do it. Like, that's, because we have trained the audience now that, I think that on Fridays at 10, everybody knows this shows, and that kind of helps with I think if they miss it, they know they can go back to the replay. If they want to watch it live, they can tune in. because I know you do also, it's a podcast. You were like me, you repurpose it everywhere. So have you found like the people who like listen to your podcast eventually maybe kind of trickle in because they want to be a part of a live show?
Yes.
Maybe it's a subject or something like that?
Yes, yes, absolutely. And I want to hit that plus the whole idea of this replay thing. Replay value is super important because you're right. You can't connect with everybody at the exact time. But if you've given them this understanding of what your schedule is going to be, they will come, right? And they'll know that you already have one in the hopper. If you're sending out notifications, if you're letting them know through email, if you're putting something in social media to let them know the when, you're more likely to get replays. But you also need to pay attention to the replays for the value of the comments and engage with them. So let me say that first. But then going back to what was the question that you just asked?
Oh,
Yeah.
we talked about being consistent on a
Yes.
certain day. Yeah. That was
Yes.
it.
So the consistency on that certain day is super, super important. I see somebody putting in there, I've been thinking of going live on Fridays. You just got to test it out and see what's
Yeah.
going to work for you. I love that. And I see somebody saying, how do you find the best time? Yeah, I love that I have the option of experimenting. And I didn't go live last night, Jeff, because I literally didn't have the bandwidth.
Right.
Can I be honest? So I'm going to say you can put your content out there and you can tell people when you're going to be live, but at the same time, you need to make sure that you're acknowledging your inner self. And those levels of emotion and well-being, they are super important. But at the same time, you need to communicate with folks, right? Communicate with them. There is a perfect blending of once you've built up that consistency, when you stay consistent long enough and you've built credibility, you then begin to have the trust of your audience.
Right. Yeah.
So that then you can say, you know what? I'm not going to be live on Thursday, but I am going live on Friday with Jeff, and you should come and hang out.
Right.
And so because they trust you, because you've been doing it and you've built that consistency currency by showing up regularly, they're more likely to come and to pay attention at the time that you've shared.
Yeah. There's a thing that I read it and then I shared it last week at eCam's training. Justin Welsh has said this, that he talked about the difference between consistency and commitment. And so like when I first started, consistency was really like, I think we went for a year or so, like except for like maybe Christmas, every Friday, right? Now it's moved from consistency to committed. People know I'm committed to the show. Now, I may be at a conference and I can't make it and I tell people and they forgive me, but that's because I've been consistent. Now that they know that I'm committed to the show, it's still going to go on. I'm not going to stop it for a month or something. They know that I'm committed to it. So I think that's really important to, as a mindset shift to going to like from, consistent to committed, which is pretty much what you just said. Yeah.
Yeah. Because you're building up the currency. If you haven't done the consistency, if you haven't done that and you're just starting, you can't expect that people are going to commit or assume that you're committed to being on.
Yeah.
So you do have to start somewhere and give yourself a runway. I love that.
Yeah, I totally get it. And it's so like Ralph, you're getting ready to start a show, like try to plan it before you start trying to figure out what time, like do it consistent for a certain amount of time. Then you can build up, to that commitment we were just talking about. So a couple of questions I want to bring up here. So when I asked the biggest benefit of going live, Ralph says, biggest benefit for me was to gain confidence on camera, and that's why I'm going to start doing it again. I'm afraid nobody will show, but I am good at talking to myself. Yeah, sometimes you're talking into the ether. I get it, Ralph. We've all been there. I know Tanya's been the same way. And then we've got, of course, our friend Chris Stone saying Tanya Smith is the best. She is. Chris is amazing. He's a big supporter of the show. And then Evie says, interesting question because I intend to go live today. What stops me from consistently going live is planning my content, not being sure what to speak about. The other excuse is silly, but it's my hair. If my hair does not look right, I hesitate. Hey, if I can, look at me. Like if I can go live every Friday, you've got it made. But talk about that a little bit to what her question is, like planning content. Like how do you, because you have a podcast, most of the time a weekly show, how do you plan content? Do you batch it out? That's a great question.
That is a great question. And I have given myself the grace because I've built that currency, right, of consistency. I've given myself the grace to move into a different season for my streaming. So I'm going to say two things. One, definitely when it comes to content planning, there are foundational things that you should be doing for your business. And Evie, I know you, so I know you have this foundation, but I'm going to speak to other people who don't yet have it. The foundational piece of you going live and having a plan for your content is that you understand what your mastery is, who your market is, the target audience, what your message is, and what your method is. So what's the framework or the tool or the transformational process that gets people from point A to point G or wherever they are, right? Wherever you're trying to get them to with your business or your content. If you got that foundation, you can then begin to build a content plan. I've done a whole lot of speaking engagements and series around a 90-day plan. But when you have that plan, that's part one. Part two is really being comfortable in your own skin. When you do understand your mastery and what it is you're an expert in, you understand your niche, you understand what the problems and the pain points are of your audience that you've chosen to speak to. When you get that, and when you're listening and you're paying attention to what they're saying in the comments, what they're saying even outside of your stream, because they're in discussion forums and they're other places, and you're listening, when you have your listening ears on, you'll then begin to plant seeds for the content that you're going to create. And sometimes it literally is just spiritually founded, right? Sometimes you're going to jump on in the moment because some type of trend has happened, especially in this world of AI and fast-paced technology. Right. Something is going to pop up in the news and you're going to say, the thing that I connect to with that particular topic is this angle, and I need to share this. And you're going to jump on and you're going to share it in that moment. And it may not be Thursday at 6 p.m. Central, right?
Right.
So I think that there's two parts to the planning. I do love structure. So I do like to build my structure of the content I'm talking about on a foundation of pillars, the content pillars based on that framework I just shared with you. But then I also now am just more open to paying attention so that I can chime in to the conversation.
Yeah, my friend Mike Alton calls that newsjacking. Like when he sees something like, so like for me, Nano Banana was a big thing that came out. Like, you know, it's the new thing, new AI tool. Everybody's talking about it. So it makes sense because I do a lot of AI image stuff to talk about it. So I think that's really important too. There's some great question. There's another great question I wanted to pull up here from Sarah. It says, it's just more of a comment. If you've had a real message with substance, you know, people that fit that audience will watch. I think that's really, really true. Because some people don't want to know about the newest AI tools, but they may want to know how to do a newsletter better, or they may want to learn live streaming from Tanya. Like that's why I had her on the show. So I think knowing that is really important to kick off. And about your idea about pillars, I mean that's kind of we have like three sections. Sometimes we don't get to all of them, but we have those on our show. It makes it easier for repurposing. So I love what you said about, you know, structure, having a structure that feels good to you, the way you work. This is the way we've done it for so long. It's just kind of second nature. And so I think as you start kind of going through those reps, it really, really does help. But that's kind of a great transition to something I wanted to bring up next is like, you know, chiming in on the trends or the news or whatever is great. But we're doing this, it's more than a hobby for both you and me. There's a reason we do this. We have to make money. So one of the things that can kind of hard for new people to understand or to do correctly is selling when you're live. Because you said one reason that you love live streaming is that in real time you can be selling, promoting, but more than that, you said I'm connecting, and making a sale is a natural extension of the conversation. So how do you weave in promos or offers during a live stream without feeling like salesy? Do you have any tips for like turning engaged viewer into a lead or client during that live show?
Yeah. And this is kind of one of those things that ends up stopping people for real. Like they they're afraid because I don't want to sound salesy and I don't want to tell people. First, it starts with what you initially started asking me questions in regards to mindset and shifting. And I think that's where everything begins, y'all. So when you think about your mindset around your offers, first of all, do you have any offers?
Right.
So when I talk about the whole boss framework, which is that's my main pillar for everything that I talk about. The offer-based content is the second, it's the O in the boss, right? The B is the brand, which we just talked a little bit about. If you are going to sell on your live streams, first of all, having that foundation of the brand is going to be key. But then second of all, being clear on what your offers are. Like, how do these offers tie into the content that you're actually sharing and delivering? And so what I like to teach is this idea of reverse engineering from your offers to create the live stream content and conversation that you're sharing, right? And if you do that, it's a much easier connect from, hey, I'm talking about guest interviews. And by the way, I have a workshop coming up that teaches you how to be, how to deliver a really great guest interview and how to be a great host. And I have worksheets and I've got templates and I've got et cetera, right? So then while you're doing your live stream, you're delivering your live stream, you're seeding throughout that conversation. I've got this thing that is coming up. I'll tell you about it towards the end. You want to be careful that you don't send people the link at the very beginning. I made that mistake a lot because they end up leaving your show and they go and start diving through your sales page or what your landing page. But somewhere towards the middle and then definitely towards the end, you're going to make sure you have that really clear call to action that's leading people to the offer. Now that means you got to do the work to have some offers. And what I hear, Jeff, a lot is that many creators, and I'm doing air quotes because sometimes people prefer to adopt that label. I'm a creator. And that's a little bit different than being a strategist or a coach or a consultant who's delivering a service, right? So if you're a creator and you're not necessarily providing strategy and those things, maybe your monetization is from sponsorships and brand collaborations and all of that. But if you're a coach like me, if you're a strategist, a consultant, and you're providing services, you need to be clear about what your offers of service are. That is what's going to make it easier. And as you quoted me, that makes your live stream simply an extension of a conversation. Your sale is an extension of what you're already talking about.
Yeah. I also see a lot of beginning live streamers. They want to make money like right out of the gate. Like that's, and you can tell, especially like interview shows, that they're just waiting to do their promo and they're barely listening to who they're talking to. And also I think it's important. One, you have to believe in what you're selling, right? Like if you have you have services like coaching, you better believe that you can really make transformation and not just slap it on something to make money, because people can sniff that out. And if you're doing if you guys watch the show at all, it's sponsored by 𝐸CAM because I love 𝐸CAM. I've loved them since before they were a sponsor. And I try to weave that in. I make jokes about it. I'm like, okay, here's, it's built into the show. It's very organic. And also, like every post I put out, I even say this is powered by 𝐸CAM. And those little links, even in the social post, they click and convert. So you have to test and try things. I've never had anybody say, why are you putting a link in every post that you do? I'm like, they don't care, but it works. And so you have to experiment. You have to be very transparent. And I think you really have to believe in what you are selling, because a lot of people don't. So
yeah, if you don't believe in it, and by the way, this is a great connection point for those who are relying on AI to tell you who you are and what you know. If you're relying on AI to be the expert, right, for you, when you're creating these programs, it's easy to plug in and say, hey, give me a course on such and such. I want to teach this. But if you haven't taken the time to really know it, you don't have the experience, you don't have the wisdom, you don't have the stories, you can't deliver on the promise. If you can't do that, you're right, Jeff. You're going to come across as, well, I'm kind of selling this thing and I'm hoping it's going to work out.
Yeah. And you can tell those people are like, okay, I know what you're doing there.
Yes.
It's almost like when you go to a webinar for training, you know the last 30 minutes you're going to get pitched to, and everybody bails. So I'm like, why don't you just weave it into the entire webinar instead of doing this? Anyway, I'll get off my high horse. We got some great comments and questions. Sarah says, love that sales method. It feels more like you're offering more value to continue the conversation and sharing rather than pushing sales. Yes, that is so true, Sarah. And so many other people chiming in. Evie says, I intend to go live today at 1 p.m. Eastern to host my fab financially free and fantastic Friday flow. That's a lot of F's right there. So yes, do it. Be consistent. That's very, very awesome. And Bob says, AI is an amplifier, not a substitute for expertise.
That's right.
Oh, preach, Bob. That's great. Yeah.
And Bob knows. Bob, the teacher, Sparkins in the house.
Okay.
Y'all.
Very, very cool. So one of the things, and we were actually talking about this actually before the show, but your approach turns live videos into revenue without really chasing those trends or burning out. But what do so many entrepreneurs get wrong when they're trying to get clients from live streams? Like we talked about the too pushy sales. Are there any other common mistakes, like maybe obsessing over vanity metrics or jumping on every new feature? What actually moves the needle for creators, coaches, solopreneurs, business owners in live video? Like what have you seen that actually moves the needle when because you've been doing this a long time like me?
I think that this is another really important one. All of these questions are so essential. I think that what moves the needle is that you remember that it is about connection. The biggest gem that you get from live streaming isn't, hey, I'm showing up on LinkedIn, I'm showing up on YouTube, I'm on all the channels, right? Even though that's the question I always get, is where should I stream? Should I be on all the, and they ask that.
Right.
The biggest thing that you should focus on is how am I engaging and making a nurtured connection and a relationship? How am I building relationship with the people who are in the audience in this space? So yes, I go live on LinkedIn, I go live on Facebook, I go live on all these different spaces, but I'm also a live stream coach. That may not be the path for you. If your people and where you like to spend time and where you like to nurture your audience and where your audience, your target market is LinkedIn, or if they're on Facebook, because I know a lot of people talk about leaving Facebook, right? But you know that your people are there. If you know that, then go live there. But don't just go live. Talk to the people. Engage with them. After the show, get into those comments and acknowledge and say, hey, I missed this during the live, but I wanted to make sure I saw you and I'm answering your question. Go back into YouTube after the fact and respond to people. You've got to build the connection and nurture the relationship. That is the most effective way. And that's the thing that I see sometimes is missing, Jeff, is that people are so set on the technical aspects of it. Do I have the right gear? Do I need to go buy a $1,500 camera? No, I just want you to have fun and enjoy the process and meet people and network. And I'm an introvert, so I'm not a huge networker. I'm just going to be honest, but I've learned to have deeper conversations. For me, it's more about depth and not as much the breadth. Okay. For you that are extroverts, for you, it might be, hey, I want the quantity. I want more people and maybe less of the deep conversation. But however you build, whatever your personality is, which I think is important too, use that to build relationships.
Yeah, very, very. I love everything you just said. One of the things I will say on this same, live streaming for leads is learn how to do and practice like pulling up comments, because people love to see themselves and their questions on screen. And it's not a hack. You're not trying to spam stuff, but it's building that relationship, which you were just talking about, that I was able to bring up Ralph's avatar and his question. People will stay around the entire show if they have a chance to maybe have their question answered or see their face on the screen. And it's like it says Grit and Growth Business, but Ralph has been in my thing so much, I know it's him. Like I could tell by his face. And that relationship comes from being live and acknowledging people and learning how to pull up comments. So otherwise, just do a YouTube video, because I'm like, pull up people's comments, talk to them on the live stream. If you stress about the tech, I used to go live into a private Facebook group just so I could practice pressing buttons, because it takes some skill. Like you have to do that. And see, Ralph says, I love to see myself, Jeff. That's awesome. So very good. And Evie said, you said the right word, connecting connections. And Ralph has a great point here when you're talking about these metrics. He says, as a business coach, I'll tell you that vanity metrics are really getting in the way of profit for many people. I'm seeing it every day in my practice. Clicks do not equal cash.
That's right.
If you look at if you look at my channels, I haven't got a silver play button, but I put 2 kids through college. I've been in this space for over 20 years, and I've survived. So you don't have to have these vanity metrics and the big things. You just have to connect with the right people. So you guys are awesome.
I always say that likes don't pay the light bill.
That's right.
Right. They just don't. They don't keep your lights on. So it's important to definitely look at what matters more. And to me, the engagement factor, especially right now, people want to interact with real people, because we're seeing a lot of bots and AI and all of that, which I love. I'm actually, certified as an AI consultant. I get all of that. But I think that nothing will ever beat human interaction. And you have to emphasize that no matter what type of service, program, product that you're offering. You've got to emphasize the human interaction and make sure you're building your personal library of people resources.
Yeah. We've got some great comments in the chat. Bob says, posting the comments is a great sign of gratitude for their attendance, and particularly well-timed, deliberate ways break up the monologue. That's a great comment there, Bob. And then Sarah says, it does take skill. That's why I'm a guest on live streams for now, and I practice using live stream software by using it for pre-recorded videos on my own. That is a great
Perfect,
tip
Sarah.
as well. Yeah. And James, good old James Hicks says, keep putting in the reps. Your community, the right community will come. And and Evie said, so true. I listened to Connect with Mari Smith live so long that she started recognizing me, and we finally connected on Zoom. That's connected. Seriously, that is a great way. I did the same thing way back in the day. That's how I got noticed by Guy Kawasaki, and now we do his podcast. I mean, you can trace that back all the way to Google Plus, making a thoughtful comment all the way back, all those years ago. I do want to ask you this question about, you talked about a little bit about your systems, and I think that is very important. You don't have to go crazy on the systems, but I know you have one. You mentioned your boss method, but can you share an example of a smart system or a process that you've built in to turn like those weekly live streams and your podcast live stream into a steady lead pipeline for instance, like repurposing videos into like emails, whatever you're using right now? I'd love to know a little bit more about your process.
Yeah, and this is actually morphing in the moment, right? It's morphing as we speak. But one of the things that I do is instantly. So first of all, I look at my live stream in 3 parts. So there's the prep, there's the production, and then there's the promotion, right? And the promotion is where you're repurposing. That's where you're taking it and you're taking that production that you've recorded, because you now have, for instance, in my case, I use 𝐸𝐷𝐿 as well. 𝐸𝐷𝐿 in the house, hey. And I use the isolated videos. So that is the videos that are clean. They don't have all the graphics and things on them. You can actually record both an isolated video and your beautiful, pretty version at the same time. So I actually upload the video after I'm done to a couple of different places. I upload that video over into CastMagic. CastMagic is an amazing tool that I have uploaded custom prompts into to say every single time you see a new video, if I upload a piece of media, I want you to do these 5 things. I want you to create for me a series of social media posts. I want you to create for me ideas for prompts where I can create images, image generation. I want you to give me ideas for reels, for scripts, for mini reels, right? I want you to give me an email newsletter, whatever it might be. I want you to give me a lead magnet, a series of worksheets. And then I can go back later and say, I want you to take this entire season and I want you to create an ebook. Help me get the foundations laid for an ebook that I can now use as a lead magnet or an offer. Or, I mean, there's an abundance of things, right? But I use Cast Magic as one of the tools. Another tool that I've used for a long time now is Opus Clip. So Opus then takes that longer version and cuts it down into smaller bites or smaller videos, but it's taking the isolated video that doesn't have all the stuff going across the screen so that it keeps it clean, right? There's a whole bunch of other things that are I have a 10-step process. Jeff.
Yeah, and so they can find that at streamlikeaboss.tv, correct?
Yeah, come to streamlikeaboss.tv. It's called the multiplier method. So the live stream multiplier method, I'm about to put it back out into the universe because I had pulled it, but I'm going to put it back out there because we have some new things in it. So yes, it's a course.
Very cool. Well, I'll tell you a little hack that this is getting. I'm gonna pull back the curtain or whatever. It's for how I use Cast Magic, and I used it actually for preparing for this. So what I did is I went and Tanya has this great playlist on her YouTube channel where she has all her appearances, right? Like of where she's been doing her, like this show. It'll probably end up over there eventually too. And so what I was able to do is I went back to her last 3 or 4 episodes that she was on. I took those transcripts and put them into into Cast Magic, because that's how I got the transcript with the things. And I said, hey, chat, I'm interviewing Tanya on this, and I want to talk about these subjects about, getting leads from live video, but I don't want to ask her any questions she's been asked before. Look at the transcripts, and Cast Magic gives me all the transcripts, and I put it in there, and then it gives me a great layout for the show, even questions to ask. So I love doing that for research, because I mean, I see what you do anyway, but I'm like, this helps me really ask good questions, hopefully. And that's kind of my hack with Cast Magic. So I love it too. It's a great little thing.
Yes. And I think one of the things that both of us do, I just want to point this out in case people are missing it. We're not asking generic questions of our guest. I'm getting ready to start guest interviews again on my show. I had for a while kind of gone back to solo, but I'm getting ready to pick that back up. And that's so important, Jeff. And you did it too at Podcast Movement. You said, I want to ask questions that are relevant and appropriate for the person that I'm talking to. That gives the people who are listening and watching the most bang for their time, right? And it gives the guest this feeling that you actually know them, and it makes for better flow. So I just wanted to point that out.
Well, it's funny that you said, because Dave Jackson said the same thing. He's like, I've never been in a panel where they were specific like that. I'm like, well, there you go. That's why they asked me to do panels. So, right.
Jeff is the master.
Yeah. So, and then Gabe Evans was saying in the chat, he just recently watched her on with James Hicks and Jim Fuse. Yeah, it was a great conversation. In fact, that's one of the ones that I used the transcripts from, because I wanted to know what was talked about, and you get the most recent ones, because that really helps, like top of mind, what she's been talking about, her new products, all that kind of stuff. So I think that's really important. Okay, we're going to move on to the next section. I want to talk to the audience first. Like, do you find you guys trusting and enjoying live content more because so much online is automated or edited? So, like, what's one thing that you think in the comments makes a live stream feel more authentic and engaging to you personally? Why do you like it? Like, why did you tune in today? What was the reason you wanted to watch a live stream and you decided not to do the replay? I would love to know in the comments. But first, we have I think a question from Ralph. He says, any ideas on how I encourage live coaching on my show for small business owners? I'm willing to give my time to help them, and I feel that would be great to watch. He's talking about doing some live coaching live on a live stream. What are your thoughts?
Yeah. We've talked about that in my community as well, Jeff. The thing I think that's important is, and I'm assuming this based on the fact that Jeff knows you very well, Ralph, that means you're already a stellar coach. I'm just going to make that assumption. And that means also, if you're a stellar coach, that you've built trust and credibility with the people that you're serving. I think that's an important factor. If you're going to be doing live coaching on camera where people can watch as you're talking with people, remember that the person that you're coaching is feeling very vulnerable. Really, no matter how much they know, like, and trust you, they're feeling a bit vulnerable. So you're definitely going to want to do a couple of things. One, you definitely have to get their permission, which I know you're already going to do. Two, you probably need to get their permission in writing, because this is the thing we have to do these days, whether
Right.
it's a podcast guest or otherwise. So I would get the permission and agreement in writing and let them know how you're planning to use it. And if you're planning to use it as a tool to teach other people, as social proof, or whatever the means are by which you're planning to use this content, be really clear with them on that and get their buy-in. If you do those things, I feel like it's an opportunity. And if not, and depending on your niche and the content that you all are talking about, it could also be it could be a sensitive topic. And if it is, it may not be appropriate for live streaming. So I just want to say all of those things in case other people may have other niches and maybe they're not yet an established coach like you are, Ralph. I hope that helps.
Yeah, that was great. I think, and we've talked, I know I've seen Ralph talking to Dave as well, as like what you just said, like get their permission, stuff like that. So, yeah. And it's you're going to learn, like you'll learn what works and what not, what's not, and how to ask questions and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. I think is going to be more and more important. So, I have more comments. Somebody's not happy. Nick says, I want to see and hear a real person with real thoughts, when we were talking about, why you tune in for live. And Bob has a great point. Like, I've seen these evergreen webinars. He goes, all those live webinars where there's no actual response to the thoughts that shows it's a fake replay. Yeah. Yes. Those can be a little frustrating. And Sarah says, I love that it's kind of like an interactive talk show with people you know and like going on while they're working. Evie says, today I turned in for the topic. Then I saw both of you and I thought this will be a great conversation for me to learn, get inspired, and get my questions answered. I think that's a big key, is getting those questions answered. Yeah. Very, very
And
cool.
I'm inspired by you, all of you who are in the audience that are asking these great questions and sharing your own thoughts. That is inspirational to us as well. And it feeds us so that we can give you a really good, hopefully a good and educational and informational show.
Yeah. I always tell people my favorite days are Mondays and Friday. Mondays is my paid mastermind, which I just love the people in there. And then Fridays, I get to talk with everybody like this all the time. It's so much fun. And Monique said, I like to tune into live streams because she can make comments and get feedback. And she thinks that your voice and thoughts are very comforting and affirming. So very, very cool. So much good comments here. And then Carmen, we'll talk about this in systems, but Carmen says, I tuned in because of your email, Jeff, and the topic is one I need to keep in mind when I begin my first live stream. So we'll talk about that in a little systems. I'll make sure we bring that up because it's not just going live. It's some other systems you put in place as well. One of the things on this section, talking about authentic engagement with AI, is like, okay, human connection versus AI content. Everybody's using AI to write content now. Some say now that you don't know anymore if a LinkedIn post is actually written by a person or AI. You've talked about beauty in having that authenticity, that human on live video that you can't get from AI, which I totally agree with, and that going live helps creators stand out. So are you seeing audience crave more real-time human interaction because of all this AI stuff? Or like, so how can we leverage that? Like, we know that there's going to be a need for it. So how can we as business owners kind of lean into that right now?
I will say this, and it wasn't naturally my first thing, okay? Because I mentioned that I'm an introvert. I'm literally a cave dweller type of introvert. Like I could be, so 2020, I was good. Like, this is great. I'm at home by myself, right? Okay, but community, and let me explain or put a little context behind that. I think that we have to focus on this idea because what was happening is as I was going live, and I was building up that consistency currency I talked about, people were asking, how can we have more conversation with you beyond just the chat? How can we be in, because they were getting to know each other even in the chat, on the stream, on YouTube, on Facebook. They were getting to know each other. They were welcoming each other back and doing a virtual high five over the chat. And not only with me, but with each other. So they were asking, and begging for, give us a space. And so I ended up taking it offline, and I said, okay, well, we're going to create a space. We're going to create a community. It's going to be called Stream Bosses Academy. And since 2021, I have a retention rate of about 78% of people who started with me back in 2021 that are still with me in 2025 inside of that community, because the connection and the collaboration and all of those things were there. And I think with AI being very prominent right now, and automation and bots and technology being top of mind for a lot of folks, people are craving real connection, real conversations. And so think about giving them a space to play. Give them a playground where you can have more time with each other to get to know each other on a different level than just the surface.
I think that is spot on. I think, and this goes back to Ralph, like starting his live thing, is that as he goes on live, people will want to maybe not just like watch this live coaching that he's doing, but also, hey, I want you to be my coach. I'm sure that's what he's thinking. And that really does help. If people can see that, the proof is in the pudding, that you're helping somebody live, then, oh my gosh, just think if I paid him to be my coach, how much better that would be. So I think what you're saying is spot on. One of the things that I wanted to talk about is, you also mentioned how to use tech, because I know you like tools just as much as I do. You kind of nerd out about all that stuff. But you caution it's not about replacing human judgment. So what parts of your live stream process do you deliberately keep personal and human, and what parts do you streamline with AI and automation? So how do you use those tools, if they're AI or not, to enhance your content that's going out there so it feels, unscripted and live?
So I'm doing a combo of things. Remember, I talked about the 3 parts. So having the pre-work, and then the production, and then the promotion, right? So in every one of those, every one of those areas, I've got a combo, but I'm never going to leave myself out of the process in either one of those 3 sections. So when it comes to the prep and the pre-work, one of the things that I'm doing is not simply sitting down and saying, hey, AI, tell me what I need to talk about today. Although there are tons of tools that will tell you, right? It will give you ideas. Subscriber without an E is one of them. I love that one. vidIQ is another one that can give you some ideas, and that's great. But you might get those 10 to 25 ideas, whatever you're asking it for. You still need to take ownership and say, no, I think this is what I want to talk about. This is because you're an industry leader. You're a thought leader, and you know your stuff. When you know your stuff, you're going to know how to tell it to complement what I want to talk about. So you're going to say, okay, this is what I want to talk about. Now, help me build out. Now, here's where AI comes in with the pre-work for me, is I've already built out a custom GPT that builds out a script.
Right.
And it's based on a template, so that I can consistently have a similar intro and a similar outro. Those are my verbal logos, right? Yeah. So it's built into that custom GPT, and it can take that topic and what I've told it, I think are the key message points, and build out the full script.
Smart.
Then I'm going to do the live, and that's all me pretty much, right? With the exception of, again, a little bit of help with the script and the template and the flow. I've also used AI to create my own my music intro, because I got tired of getting dinged. Like, hey, commercial rights. Yeah. I already have commercial rights. No, you don't. Yes, I do. I didn't want to go through all that anymore, so I created my own little Stream Like a Boss jingle, similar to what you did for me, which I thought was awesome. And then in the third part, the production, or the promotion rather, again, it's going to give you ideas, but you are the king and queen, right? You're the person who gets to make the have the final say. So you might be using templates to create this content, but then you're going to go in and say, let me tweak this and make sure, even though I've taught it how to speak in my voice, let me make sure they're not using words that I would never use.
Right.
So
golden nugget. Yeah. One of the things that I use it for is stuff I hate to do. Like, I don't know about you. I hated doing show notes. I hated doing show notes for podcasts. And now that I can just drop it in and like it's done, like, oh my gosh, because that would be, when you have to do all this stuff after your show, you're like, oh, here we go. And it's a lot. Like, if you're starting, it's a lot to do. And so having it do that kind of stuff is great. I like it to help me do research for guests, but the questions, I mean, I know where I'm taking the show. And the other thing when you're doing a live show, especially if you have guests, but even comments, is like, you've got to learn to listen. Like, we had all these questions. We've gone way off.
We went off the rail.
That's just what happens. And I like it because I want to follow up. I hate podcasts and I hate like live shows where you can almost tell that they're asking a question, they're scratching it off, and then they're going to the next one. Yeah. They're not listening to what their guest is saying, where they'll be like, that was a perfect question to ask right after that, and you just skipped it. So I think you really have to learn to listen to as well. So
and the guest needs to listen too, right?
Right.
Because I can't just go off of the questions you sent me earlier. I have to listen and pivot when necessary. So it is definitely an exercise of listening.
And this is kind of another kind of tangent, but one of the things is I have found that the people who ask to be on my show a lot of times aren't the ones that I want to be on my show. It's the people that I like seeing at conference, who I've seen in the space, like I saw you, that I'm like, I already know she's got a great setup. I don't have to do really a tech check because I know she's good. I saw her on James Hicks' show. I mean, like, I know who she is. And so I tend to go that way. So either do a tech check or if you're going to have somebody on live, is kind of, work with them beforehand so you feel comfortable about it and so you're not blindsided. Whenever I've gone with somebody, I'm not sure, I always get in trouble. Like, there's only been a couple that I've done, but I'm like, I should have listened to my instinct and just done, so trust your gut on that kind of stuff.
And you can build that into your workflow too with your guesting. So I have it's a part of when they're doing the registration or applying, right, to be on the show. Part of that is a question that asks them, are you comfortable using eCam? Are you comfortable using a different, right? And if not, here's a separate calendar where we can set up a 10 to 15 minute tech check.
That's great.
Ahead of the call, because I don't want to be stuck. And honestly, that has worked, Jeff, wonders for me when I was doing a bunch of them, because I had to turn a couple of people down and say, you know what? I want you to shine.
Right.
Like, I'm not being mean, but you're just not ready.
Yeah. So
I have to be honest with you and tell you, I need you to shine. And I also need my show, the credibility of my show, to stay at the level, right, or greater. So,
it's so funny. I did a tech check with one person and it was great. I'm like, okay, this is gonna be great. And then they called in from another location. And I'm like, why did we do a tech check? And it was a mess, but that'll happen. That's the other thing you got to learn about live. Stuff will happen. I had geese land on my porch one time and like honked. And I was like, what is happening? This never during a live show. I've had power go out. Yeah, it's Texas. It's the Wild West. It's crazy.
Look, I had a streaking baby right across. She was like, Daddy, it's time for bath. And she streaked across the screen. And I went, oh. Yeah, that was fun.
Yeah, you never know. And you just got to know that your audience, they actually love that kind of stuff. I had a guest one time, we were talking and she was like kind of in her porch or something, and all of a sudden a cat just jumped and hung on the screen and like looked over her shoulder. It was hilarious. But of course, my show, no one wanted to talk about anything else after that. But
of course,
that's the way live happens. So, by the way, because it's live, I do have to mention our sponsors, eCam. You can find out more about them at ecam.com/Jeff. They are what allow me to pull up comments, to stream to multiple locations. You don't have to use them just for live. You can do them to record videos. So many cool things. If you haven't checked them out, go to ecam.com/Jeff. Use code Jeff15 to save 15% on your first purchase. So thank you for them to sponsor the show. I do want to get some, because this is something I think is really, really important. And I know you talk about it a lot, about owning your audience. And I think this is, especially if you're really getting started, like, what does this mean? Because we are all on rented land. Like, we're going live to YouTube, Facebook, all this stuff. So how, I want the people in the audience to answer this question for me. Like, so what's one step that you guys have taken who are listening right now to own your audience? Like, do you have an email list? Do you have a private Facebook or heartbeat group or circle or whatever one of those tools are? Do you have text messaging? Like, how are you connecting to your people outside of social platforms? I'd really want to know. Let me know how you're doing that down below wherever you're watching from, because I would love to learn from you guys' strategies as well. So as we talk about owning your audience, Tanya, I want to know the one pillar of your own framework that you've talked about, own your audience, which is those direct relationships and channels you control. You say it's non-negotiable. Like this is something you have
Yeah.
got to do no matter what. So can you kind of unpack that, why it's risky, and what are some first steps you recommend for creators or business owners to start owning their own audiences? Like what is it to do an email right off the bat? What are your thoughts and strategies for owning your audience?
Look, you just turned on a light switch because this has been my mantra all year. 2025 is the year where I'm just done. Let me tell you why. Because just like you, Jeff, and many other people who are in the chat, because I recognize some of these names, many of us have built our presence online and in the digital world on rented land. So I'm talking Meta, I'm talking wherever you are, YouTube, Substack included. I know Substack's the hot thing right now. I get
Right.
it. But these are places we do not own. We don't own our audience. If at any given time, any of them decide, hey, you know what? I don't like what this person's sharing. I'm going to block them or keep them from being seen in our space. They get to choose that because they own it. We have to start thinking like owners and landlords, not renters of land, right? And I recognize this for a couple of reasons. I'm going to give you two examples, one of which many of you probably have already seen or experienced if you're on Meta at all, the Metapocalypse that happened several months ago,
Right. Yeah.
where huge groups of hundreds of thousands of members just disappeared overnight because of some type of glitch or whatever the reason is. I don't know the real reason. Will we ever know? But disappeared, and people were frantic.
Yeah.
Oh my God, how do I keep in touch? How do I communicate? I can't connect with my people. What about all my content? And what happened to me personally, even before that, because I closed down my Facebook group in March of 2024, specifically because I was tired of fighting with Facebook about content that they would just remove. Two things. Content that they would just remove, and I'd be like, wait a minute, that was a crowdsourced document. All these people have put in their ideas, and it was something I thought that was really amazing, and we all loved it and we're using it, and it's gone, and I can't get it back, and nobody's answering questions. That happened. The other thing that I noticed happening in groups, which many of you have experienced this too, they weren't showing the people who were members who signed up and said, I want to be a part of this group, this community. They weren't seeing my content.
Yeah. It's horrible.
And so with all of that said, I made the decision, and it was something that just kept growing in me. It was seeded a few years ago, and then I was like, okay, I'm done with this. The main thing you have to think about when you're thinking about owning your audience means you have there's something that you're paying for more than likely, like an email marketing service, to build your own subscription list. Because that way you can connect and communicate and nurture that group of people at any given time you choose. So building a list is part of the owning your audience thing, an email list specifically. Texting is getting a little out of control. I live in Texas, so I'm not even going to go there because that's a whole other topic. But email, focus on email and building your email list and nurturing. The work smarter, the W is working smarter, not harder. Stop feeling like you have to do all of the things. Every time Instagram changes their algorithm and says, okay, now you have to do 20 posts a day instead of 5 posts a day, you don't have to do that. You can make a different decision. Like you can have a life.
Yeah.
So choose work smarter, work effectively for you, do what makes sense for you. And then the N is for nailing your brand, which goes back to what we talked about earlier. You got to have clarity around your brand, meaning you need to understand who your people are and know who you are. Do the deeper dive. That's the next thing I'm about to do, Jeff, is we're talking about origin story. We're talking about, we're talking about making sure that you, especially for those of you who are midlife and beyond, the story that you used to tell people on stage 20 years ago is way different than it is now.
Yep.
So you have to continuously evaluate who you are, where you are, And what are the experiences that have brought you to this place so that you can speak from a place of wisdom when you're talking about whatever it is you know, and you're sharing with people how to transform their lives and businesses. So yeah, that's so important to me. I'm going to get off the soapbox, but I'm just saying,
Yeah.
please pay attention, y'all. You do not have to, we're not handcuffed to these social media spaces. We really can build our own communities. So I have a community on Heartbeat Chat, and I have my email list, and I monetize on my spaces, my website.
Yeah. And email lists, I mean, like even like, I think it's, I know Kit is what I use. A bunch of other ones have up to like 10,000 subscribers. You can be on their free platform. So start now. Like even before you launch your show, start now. You own your email list. And we've had numerous conversations with that show about that. But Tanya, this has flown by. You have been amazing as always. But I want people, you mentioned an email list. Tell people where they can find out about you, how to sign up for your email list, your community, all that stuff, because I know people are going to want to follow you wherever you're at.
Well, I would love to have you wherever you choose to connect. If you go to streamlikeaboss.tv, that's my main website. And if you add /links on the back end, you can figure out where you want to connect, if it's LinkedIn or YouTube or another space. But streamlikeaboss.tv has all of my episodes. You can listen, you can watch. There's a bunch of content there. So feel free to go hang out and see what we're all about. I'd love to connect with you.
And yes, so once again, you guys who are listening to the podcast, streamlikeaboss.tv, streamlikeaboss.tv, all one word. And she's amazing. She's got great content. If you need to learn about live streaming or owning your own platforms, I mean, she is the one to check out. So we mentioned newsletters. I would love for you guys to subscribe to mine, jeffc.com/news. That's JEFF, S as in Sam, IEH, I before E, especially in C. So my mama told me to say it. So thank you guys so much for watching. Evie, Sarah, Ralph, Chris, everybody who watched today, Monique, thank you guys so much. We would love to connect with you in any of those places that we have talked about today. We would love to answer your questions. I know Tanya's the same way as well. Thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you for eCam for sponsoring this show. Thank you for Tanya for all the great work that she does. And thank you guys for watching. And we will see you guys next time. Bye, everybody.